Call Ascension Parish Council meeting of June 7, 2007 to order. Mr. President, would you please lead us in prayer?
You bet. Heavenly Father, as we bow before Thee tonight, we acknowledge Thy fatherhood and we thank Thee for all Thy blessings in our lives. We thank Thee for the blessings of our country, our families. We're grateful for those who have gone before us and even given their lives at times for the freedoms and liberties that we enjoy in this world today, especially in America. We pray for those in uniform who are at home or abroad. Thou bless them, bless their families. We pray that peace will come to our troubled world one day. We pray for wisdom tonight, especially this council, as they discuss the issues affecting our parish with the growth and development that's taking place. We thank Thee for all Thy blessings. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to see so many people out today. Roll call. Mr. George Valentine is out of town. Everyone else is present this evening. Chair's addition, there's no chair's addition. Public comment, anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign in on the table here. And Ms. Suzanne, I do see some, looks like I see some names on the tab, on that tablet right there, so you might need it. Looks like there may be some names that signed up on the tablet. All right, number 5, presentations. Ms. Suzanne, do we have any presentations? Number 6, Parish President's report. Parish President.
The item listing is going to be passed on tonight, Mr. Babin. Another function. I just returned from the Capitol. We've been up there a lot in this session. You know, there's a lot happening. Hopefully, a lot happening that could positively impact our parish. So I just want to give a brief report to you on several issues. One that's been in the press a good bit lately with emails, electronic mails. So a lot of stuff has been made about things, but the personnel director is back working in the parish, and that situation had a whole lot more to do with other items of a confidential nature, not emails. So, and things that we can't talk about because of confidentiality and privacy laws. Now, a more pleasant topic and really some exciting news. And I guess I've learned in 41 months now that sometimes, like the guy that surveys large fields but plows small ones, government seems to work that way. And we've seen a good bit of publicity about Highway 42 again. It's been studied and restudied, and our tax dollars have been spent on it for, I know, at least 1990, on widening it and things. And I am grateful to report to you tonight, council members, that we now have finished what's called Stage 0 feasibility study for highway improvements on State Highway 42, between Highway 44 and Highway 61. As you recall, this was the first priority we turned in to Congressman Baker and our legislators probably January or February of 2004. And just as a reminder, you don't get too excited, Stage 0 is the first of 6 phases. And Stage 0, I'm just going to share a couple things with you from the engineering firm. we met with Mr. Jerry Luca LeBlanc this week, who is the Commissioner of Administration, the governor's person in charge of finances. And he's pledged some support to try to help speed up this process on this particular roadway. And that doesn't mean it's going to happen. But very positively, Krebs, LaSalle, and Lemieux, the attorney who has been working on this with the Department of Transportation Development now for quite a while, I'm just going to read a couple brief comments from their letter to me dated June the 4th, which obviously I think was this week. Based on the attached feasibility study report for the subject project, the requirements for Stage 0 have been met. After meeting with stakeholders and local officials, it was collectively agreed that Concept A5, and you want to see that later, we'll show it to you, should proceed to the Stage 1 of the DOTD project delivery process. The estimated cost of Concept A5 is $49,591,037. Now, I remind you, this is less than 4 miles of roadway, with existing 2 lanes to be widened to 4 lanes with a median raised in the middle. Please take the appropriate steps to advance the project to Stage 1. And we're estimating, and I emphasize we're estimating that Stage 1, which is really the environmental work. And I've told them I don't think we've got any endangered crawfish in those dishes. That 2-lane roadway's been there for many, many years, but they still do. Anytime you get $1 of federal highway dollars, you have to do a couple studies in the environmental side. Some of it's sound and wise. Some of it sometimes, my personal opinion, gets a little carried away, especially on existing roads in areas that have been studied since 1990. Now, so that's good news. Obviously, we've had people lose their lives there. Stage 1, we estimate to cost $1 million to $1.5 million to complete the environmental engineering work. I guess the bad news is the DOTT normal process, probably 5 to 7 years before the road's actually done. And each phase from 0 to 5 is a different step in their process. Hopefully, and I want to commend our legislators and the council and all of us who have worked on this project, our law enforcement, to try to move it along in 41 months. But hopefully that process can be speeded up as we continue to contact the governor's office, our legislators, go up to the Capitol if you want, just to show you support for this major state road that needs to be improved just as soon as we can. Now, in another sighting area, for those of you who live out in the Burnside area where I now live, got this last couple of days of facts from and this is called an upcoming highway construction notification. And I know people on Highway 44 between I-10 and the River Road have been waiting on this for a long time. And this project of overlays, turn lanes, bridge replacement, length is 4.02 miles, should begin June the 11th, next week. Panama Canal Bridge will be closed to begin June the 18th at 7 a.m. Completion date January the 14th, 2008. So traffic will be rerouted both south and north, having to cross the Panama Bridge for several months, it looks like. They estimate maybe as long as 6 months to replace it with a nice concrete bridge there and to make improvements on that drastic curve, those of you who are familiar with that area. So this will be published on the Government Information Channel as well as the local papers about detour routes and construction times, so our citizens, even though I will be inconvenienced every day going to and from offices, I am grateful for that inconvenience, because this is another highway that the state owns where several people have been killed in the last few years. So that's my report, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, some good news finally with state roads.
I do have one speaker that signed up to speak on the parish president's report, and although we passed on it, the citizen did come out possibly for that particular reason. We're going to yield 3 minutes to Ms. Catherine Goppel.
Thank you. I'm Catherine Guppel. Thank you for giving me my 3 minutes. Why does the parish need another attorney? The 5 present attorneys have managed the workload with no complaints. Is it a coincidence that the filling of this position is being sought at the same time that the parish president is being questioned about the use of his parish computer for personal business? That's unethical. Is it because he's stalling in filling a public records request by the media to view his emails? That's illegal. Secrecy has been a hallmark of his administration. I have personally experienced the dragging of feet, intimidation, and attempted increase in copy fees when requesting public records. The Sunshine Law is not followed. What is he hiding and why? Could it be that the parish president needs an attorney, one who has marketing experience in an election year when his approval rating is low, an attorney who will render legal opinions he can hide behind to push his agenda and run his campaign, or a project supervisor to help him review his emails for the past 3.5 years before he releases these public documents to the media, if he does. District Falterman has stated we need more criminal attorneys, but he can't pay for a civil in-house attorney for the parish president. This is an attorney for Ronnie Hughes. The taxpayers of Ascension should not have to pay for a 6th attorney to pay for the blunders of the parish president. Citizens have been told for the past 3.5 years that government is downsizing, public affairs are being run like a business. The budget is at least $10 million more than when President Hughes took office, and we are constantly being told we don't have enough money. Services have suffered. Couldn't money for another attorney, project supervisor, or marketing expert be used for roads, recreation, or even electricity for the president's pet project, Lamar Dixon? He would like us to believe we are paupers when he put $25,000 in his 2007 budget for a back stairway for his office that only cost $17,277, and it was built and paid for in 2006. I have the documentation. That's deceiving. He says it's none of our business who his in-house attorney is, and he's wrong. His political propaganda says he's always right. Has he forgotten he works for us, the citizens? We pay his salary and that of his new attorney. We purchase his computer and pay for the electricity to run it. We paid for his new SUV and for the gas to fill his tank. We pay for his business meals out and his unnecessary personal stairway. How quickly public servants become arrogant politicians. Council members, it's time for some accountability. Just say no. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. President.
since you allowed this agenda item to be introduced in the public record, I ask that all of that be entered into the public record, and I'll never rebut it, Ms. Goppel, but it's time for some of the falsehoods to be brought to light. I read some articles in the paper myself recently. I'm not sure who was saying we're hiring a lawyer for the parish president. It is true. A couple of months ago, we had a person contact us who works in another parish for the administration that happens to have a degree in marketing and in law, who lives in our parish, who expressed a real interest to come to work for our parish. And one of the things that my administration is aggressively seeking to do is to hire some bright young people. As the fastest growing parish in the state for the last 6 years, number 9 in the nation out of 3,219 counties in the last year. That's not propaganda. That's just facts. That's the reality of our parish that we live in. And number 78 in the nation since the 2000 census. Now, that's 3,219 counties, a few boroughs in Alaska, and of course our 64 parishes in Louisiana. I was amazed when I learned that we were number 9 in growth from July of '05 to July of '06. Good and bad, obviously. And with 2 district attorneys, assistant district attorneys, basically assigned to work part-time for parish government, a population that's increased by 30,000 since 2000. We've gone from probably about 75 to 76,000 people, and some of this is estimates, to probably at least 105,000 today, with right-of-way issues and road issues and just issues all over the place. As we embark on a comprehensive wastewater treatment plan, buying right-of-way, establishing routes for new roads, there's an enormous amount of legal work required, regardless if you like it or you don't like it. It's part of the system that we have in our country today that's evolved from 1776. Never my intent to hire an attorney for the parish president. You know, I just thank goodness that most of our intelligent citizens do not read and believe everything they see in the paper. Reporters make mistakes just like other people do. And sometimes they, like weather people, they're forecasting instead of reporting. It is true that when this person came and approached me a while back, and we interviewed her and had her meet with the district attorney and with the first assistant district attorney, very impressed with her credentials and the assets that she would bring to this parish as we all deal with the growth issues that we face. And believe me, the citizens of this parish will be well served with that kind of talent and ability that's available to all the administrative branch of government. A person who's working for another parish president, another administration, and a council in another parish who wants to come here at a very reasonable salary, with a person with a degree in marketing and a degree in an attorney. So she would be able to help us in many areas and will eventually help us reduce costs in the departments in parish government. Now, the only thing that we ask of the district attorney, because this person is presently in the district attorney's retirement plan and not the parochial retirement plan, and this person expressed a desire to stay in that plan, and Mr. Falterman felt it was wise because that plan is so good compared to the state retirement plan of parish employees. So I can understand her desire to stay in there. We will pay this person from the parish administration, did not have to come to the council with it. Who was planning on coming to the council. We met with the council's chairman a week or so ago, who also agreed it was a very good idea to bring in legal counsel, marketing counsel, someone that could work with us full-time without a private law practice, without a marketing practice, to be available to us. So I just want our citizens to understand the truth of what we've been talking about. So this person will be far more involved in just legal matters, although that will be an important part of it. But this person will be available to all parish departments and all of us as we deal with the many issues. One thing that I've learned in 41 months is that a lot of the problems that I deal with and my administration still deals with today go back prior to January of '04. And many of them deal with issues of rights of way that were never legally obtained and filed, that we don't own parts of the roads that we think we own as far as the paperwork and all. And so we're working to clean up as much of this as we can, to work with this. We've had excellent and continue to have excellent representation from the district attorney's office. But being able to get a person for $50,000 a year with this background who lives in our parish with multiple degrees and skill sets, to me is a bargain for Ascension Parish. And obviously, as the CEO of the parish, if I was CEO of a company now, I would hire this person in a minute to help us address the many challenges that we have in this parish. And they are many. And they're not easy decisions, as many of you here tonight will attest to as you debate an issue, some for and some against. And so I'm excited to announce another week or so we'll have a really good engineer come on board to work full-time in this administration, so that Mr. Turner will have the help he needs to have an engineering section to help with planning and public works, so that we truly begin preventing problems on the front end that we're continually reacting to on the back end. And that's the key to us solving our growth challenges and other challenges that we have, is try to prevent as much on the front end as we can. And so our auditing firm actually came to us about a year and a half ago and said one of the weaknesses that Ascension Parish has is second and third level management, that you need to hire some good, bright young people who are willing to come to work in government and make that a career. And so a few months ago, that firm helped us find a CPA to put in the finance office, knowing that eventually they would probably make less money off of the parish, because this CPA would be able to do some of the work that this firm was doing. That was in the long-term best interest of Ascension Parish. We have a person in place now. Ms. LeBlanc's been there 30-something years. I don't think she's going to be there for another 30-something years. Maybe she will. I doubt it.
We hope so.
So in engineering and public works now, we're looking for a couple engineers. I mean, everybody's looking for engineers. Well, I can discuss an issue, Mr. Chairman. I wasn't planning on talking on this at all tonight, but you allowed a person to speak on the agenda item that was passed on.
Let's keep it on the agenda item now.
Well, you better go back and correct the person who just spoke.
Mr. Chairman.
Now, so I think it's time for our citizens to get the truth straight from the horse's mouth and not have to just believe what they read in the paper and listen to from someone who speaks all the time. Now, in addition, in the plan and development side, we're looking for people there too. We're doing all the permits that we're doing and the work there. Obviously, we need good young people who want to make a career in zoning or building or planning, who are willing to stay and work here 30 to 40 years so they get the experience in our parish. And you have to pay people to get people to make that commitment to government, because they can make more money in the private sector. And right now, every engineering firm I know between Mobile and Houston are looking for young engineers, hired them right out of college. When they finished last month in LSU, they had them all bought up. So we're blessed that this young lady is going to come to work in our engineering section in another week or so to really help us there, which will eventually help reduce the costs we pay to consultants that we'll be able to do internally, and will be a very valuable resource. Now again, the people that we pay consulting fees to recommended that we do this, that we needed to establish that professionalism in our parish. And so again, they made a recommendation, in some ways cut their own throat. Because we get 2 engineers plus the public works director now as an engineer, it'll be less work for consulting. But in the long run, that too will be in the best interest of Ascension Parish. Now, I thought it was necessary to kind of explain some of this tonight so we all understood what was really happening. There was never any intent to hire a personal attorney for the parish president because he needed someone to go through emails. I'm personally able to go sit down and look at 8, 9, 10,000 emails. And none of them are being deleted. They're all there. Nothing to hide. Just a matter of logistically, how do we do that? When this person with the advocate has asked for access to them, not wanting a copy of. So this person was sent an email to me early this morning about there'll be someone to sit with you as you go through 8 to 10,000 emails that I've sent since I've been in office. And now, the public needs to understand that they're not all public records, because state law says that some documents are privileged, and for a very good reason. And it's important that the council all understand it, because you may be asked to supply this as well in the near future. In case you are, this will help you. Issues of personnel confidentiality, trade secrets on economic development, new businesses looking to locate here. When I receive things from the Louisiana Economic Development Corporation or the Ascension Economic Development Corporation may be privileged or protected under the Public Records Law. And in addition, client attorney privileges are protected many times because those are sensitive issues involving at times confidentiality things. And so trying to go through probably at least 10,000 emails and see which ones are privileged and which ones are not takes a lot of time. And just the logistics of setting that up to do that, going back to January 5th of 2004. So hopefully this explanation helps all of you understand what's really going on. Or as Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story, or as Fox News would say, we report, you decide. And if you have any time you have questions you want to ask me about something, my cell phone is 715-9997. My personal email, and please send it there so we keep it on a personal computer, is ronnieh2@cox.net. Be happy to answer any question you have. And call me. Now, Mr. Chairman, I apologize for taking some time, but I felt it was time that some of these issues be addressed and that we at least get the facts out on what's really going on. And I am excited to have these young talents wanting to go to work in Ascension Parish. And our citizens will be too, because they will see the great benefit they provide to this parish. Thank you.
Agenda item number 7,
Mr. Chair.
consent agenda. Mr. Hillensbeck.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. I do have some comments about 42 as well. If you'd like, I'll state them now, or I'll wait till the Transportation Committee report, since the Parish President brought it up. What's your preference?
Let's go ahead and take it up now, Mr.
Okay.
Hillensbeck.
I'd like to comment and let the public be aware that Highway 42 is a serious problem. It's like the Parish President stated, we've had many accidents there over the years, and I'll let you know that thanks to Representative Eddie Lambert, he has found $3 million that's available for Highway 42, and he's working very hard with our other delegation, legislative delegation from Ascension Parish, to find additional monies to improve State Highway 42. Also, thanks to Congressman Richard Baker, we do have $7 million that will be coming to Ascension Parish. It's already been budgeted and approved. Hadn't been appropriated, but we're going to get the money in the 2009-2010 time window. So we'll have $10 million of that $49.5 million we need to improve Highway 42. And I just said briefly, I got, Mr. President, I got, if I may, could I ask Mr. Bob Turner just to come to the microphone, just make one brief statement. Mr. Turner?
That's up to the chairman, Mr.
Is that all right, Mr. Chairman? It deals with Highway 42.
Come on, Mr. Bob.
I recently asked Mr. Turner, who is our new DPW director, understanding the need of Highway 42 and how we need to get something going on 42, I asked Mr. Turner to draft a letter to send to Mr. Bradbury, DOTD, and also our elected officials. And he did that, and in that letter I asked that since we do have some money available and we also got money in the pipeline, that perhaps it would be wise if we went ahead and got started on intersection improvements on Highway 42 now. We're talking Ronald Road, John Broussard Road, we're talking McCrory Road, we're talking Highway 930, we're speaking of Highway 929, all of the major intersections, Laverne, Stafford. And would you comment on that letter, Mr. Turner?
Sure, be glad to. Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, members of the council. I investigated and did some research on Highway 42. The concern that I have at this point is that the extreme heavy volume of traffic that 42 has. We're right now approaching 20,000 cars a day on a two-lane road. That is really at its maximum capacity. There's such a thing in roads called level service. You may or may not have heard of that, but it's like a grade card that you get in school. If you have a level of service A, for example, essentially you're the only one on the road. You have an unobstructed use of the road. It's really not a problem. B, there's a few more cars. C's kind of normal. You feel okay. Once you get past C, then you start getting into congestion. D is fairly congested. E is very congested. And F is total failure. And at times when you're stopping on interstate or you're stopping on 42, you're at level of service F. That's failure. And that's where a lot of 42 is at this point. The need, I think, and what I'd set out in my letter was that essentially we need to provide turn lanes to relieve the congestion. The worst thing that can happen to you in a very narrow two-lane road is that the car in front of you wants to turn left, but can't brake the vehicles coming towards them. The line just keeps coming. And so you're sitting there behind one car that's trying to turn left. So left turn lanes really relieve that congestion significantly. And in my letter, I suggested that as a first stage, we might look at having left turn lanes or turn lanes at these various intersections that Councilman Hillenbeck mentioned. Also, it's my opinion that there's a traffic signal that's warranted at McCrory 1 intersection at this point. And I felt obligated to send that letter to our state officials asking for whatever assistance that they might be able to give us.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. And just in closing, both State Representative Eddie Lambert, this council has requested 3 state studies of a red light request for McCrory 1, an intersection of Highway 42. All 3 requests and studies have been done after resolutions were sent by this council that I initiated. And all 3 studies were determined to find that a red light at McCrory 1 and Highway 42 was not warranted. I'm not sure of the math they use in Baton Rouge, but it's sure not the same math in Ascension Parish. So, thank you.
Agenda item number 7, consent agenda. Adopt the regular minutes of May 3rd, 2007.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Thompson. Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. B, adopt the regular minutes of the council of May 17th, 2007.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Thompson. Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Number 8, Utilities Committee. Chairman, Mr. Byron.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 8A, update from the U.S. Corps of Engineers. I believe we have Hartman and the Corps here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman,
Good evening, Jim.
Parish President, Council. Thank you for this opportunity. We rose today to give you a brief update on some of the work that we've been working on for the comprehensive wastewater system. Manish Murda with Hartman Engineers will provide the update.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, and the respected member of the Council. I'd like to thank you for providing us the opportunity to discuss the comprehensive wastewater business plan and update to the facility plan. For last couple of months, we have a privilege to sit with the Administration, Utility Committee, and Finance Committee to provide a picture of what are the needs for wastewater in the parish and how we're going about to get the funding from different sources. In our previous meetings, we have discussed what we call as a roadmap, a business plan that establish different projects and the fundings. So today I would like to report the progress since our last meetings and some of the steps that we have taken, some of the accomplishments we have done. As you all know that the STAG grant projects, EID was approved on April 27, 2007. We have presented the business plan to Parish administration on April 25th and May 2nd. We presented the draft plan to utility committees on May 8th and the draft plan to Finance Committee on May 10th. Since then, we have an exciting meeting at the DEQ and DHH. A large delegation from DEQ and DHH met with CORE and us to discuss the various options for the low-interest loan to implement part of the comprehensive wastewater plan. As we have explained to you, it's a large undertaking from the parish. It's inevitable. As President Hughes indicated, this is a growing parishes, and therefore there are the growing needs for wastewater treatment system. One of the exciting things happened is that we have submitted the reimbursement request. These are the funds that parish has already been spent. And after the approval of EID and FANCI, parish get their 55% of the match. Martha Collins, the grant officer for Ascension Parish, did most of the work, but we have assisted since there are a lot of federal regulation required you to have all the documentations, how the bid were procured, what are the bid tabulations, RFP, all the invoices. So it's 1.5 inch thick documents that we have submitted to EPA on June 4th. And we are hoping that parish could get close to $268,000 reimbursement back very soon. One of the highlights of the DEQ meeting is, there are low-interest loan available with the effective interest rate of 2.45, and then tag another 0.5% for their maintenance. So 2.95% interest rate for 20 years period, which is pretty exciting rates. We also discussed the approval process, what is involved, how soon we can get all the environmental processes and things like that. And the most exciting thing about this DEQ low-interest loan is that that loan amount can be used as a matching fund for any of the federal grants, STAG grants, 219 grants that we get from CORE. So in other words, in some situations, parish doesn't have to come up with the matching funds. So we have submitted the reimbursement request for Darrow projects. There are 3 other projects that as they move forward, we're going to submit the quarterly reimbursement request. The total, those 4 projects totaling $2.3 million. So in a short time, parish should be able to get $1.2 million out of it. We continue to refine the business plan and update the facility plan as the population is changing. Some of the requirements from DEQ are also changing. As I have said, that is a very fluid plan, and we have to make it practical. It cannot be a rigid plan. Therefore, it can be implemented easily. We're going to assist the parish to prepare the pre-applications for DEQ low-interest loan. This is just the initial discussion, showing what documents, what we have, what needs we have. So things are moving forward. Last several weeks, as you can see, as you can feel, the momentum is building up. Also, CORE consultant has completed a design on the phase 1 of wastewater treatment plant, 1.5 MGD, and effluent force main to Mississippi River. CORE consultant also started design on the Grand Goodine collection system. So in summary, we request the parish to ultimately adopt the business plan and the facility plan for the comprehensive wastewater. At this time, I would like to answer any questions that you have, or if any other time, if you'd like to answer those questions, I would be more than happy to provide that.
Any counsel? Mr. Thompson?
Yes, have the site been secured yet?
You're referring to the site for the wastewater treatment plant?
Yes, sir.
The site has not been secured at this point, but we do have a commitment from BASF on that.
When, what's the timeline on securing the site where the parish have control of it?
The BASF is looking for some documentation to make certain that we're moving in that direction to actually construct the plant. Once we have that documentation, we'll be entering into some meetings with them to discuss the acquisition process. So that should be, hopefully within the next couple months, we'll be entering into some discussions with them.
If that site fall through, do we have any alternative site?
There is a contingency plan, yes.
Mr. Chair, if I could address a couple of those whenever we get through with the council.
Councilman Oliver?
Again, when you say documentation from the parish government, parish council to approve something?
No, sir. What they're looking for is, one, the plans and specs. They want to see that we've completed the plans and specs. They want to see that we're moving in a direction to actually construct. That includes a time frame, financing mechanism. They just want a strong commitment from the parish that it will be constructed before the land is transitioned over.
Mr. Thompson?
Would it be in order for this council to send BASF a resolution supporting the documentation that the Corps putting together?
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I think I could speed up the discussion.
Let's listen from the parish president.
I talked to Mr. Cohen this week, the plant manager. Two things has happened. One in Germany, BASF has a new president now, since we did this a little over a year ago, worldwide. But the commitment is still there, Mr. Cohen said, with the new president. However, what they want to see from us precisely is a financial plan that we are going to build it. They don't donate us 30 acres. They have the title ready to give us when we say, here, we're building this, because Ascension Parish has been talking about wastewater for 30 or 40 years. And so, having spoke to Mr. Cohen, he just recently returned from Germany with the new president. So he assured me that as soon as we give them a plan, that the council votes on this master plan, and you're going to start building this comprehensive wastewater treatment plant, and then we will have what we need to have. Now, always keep in mind with corporate donations, and when you're fooling with boards, but he has been there and he spoke to the new president, and the previous board had approved this, and the previous president for the worldwide company had approved this. Mr. Cohen is just a site manager in the United States, but he feels very good that it will be done once we give it. So we've already given a resolution. As soon as we show them this plan, Adrian, you want to do a resolution, it's fine, but the main thing they want to see is you got the money to go do this, and you're starting construction. So the land doesn't sit there for 10 or 15 years and nothing's done on it.
Who's handling this with the parish on the parish level to monitor this and to continue to push the project?
Our Public Works Department and our Planning Department. Once planning is responsible in the planning stages, once, and hopefully 2 weeks from tonight, this council will approve this master plan for comprehensive wastewater. Then, once construction begins, Public Works will be involved in that process, working hand in hand with the planning and with the consultants. The Corps is kind of like the lead attorney, if you would, or the lead agency on this, but they have several consultants working with them. Plus, we have URS as a project manager that's been working in this process all along to get us to this point after 41 months of having not just a study, but a true business plan and an implementation plan that's based on a $40 user fee, which is, I think, a reasonable fee. And so we truly have now an implementation plan to go forward with several financing options that all of you will, if you don't already have it, you will have. And I think it's 2 weeks from tonight we're asking you to approve that master plan. So if you have questions between now and then, these gentlemen, all the consultants are there to help you go through it, because it is fairly complex when you're looking at bringing in funding from 5 or 6 different sources until you begin collecting user fees, put money into the system to help build the system further out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for letting me explain that.
I would like to see an update from the Corps and from Hartman on where we're going with trying to work with BASF for this acquiring the property. We've spent a lot of money on moving forward with the comprehensive wastewater plan, and I think that should be enough to prove to BASF that we're trying to move forward with parish-wide wastewater. And at the next utilities meeting, I would like to have some type of documentation, whether a letter or something that we have sent to BASF, something back from BASF letting us know that they will work with us. If not, we'll just have to go in another direction.
We can provide that. Also, I'd like to add one thing. The business plan, we will provide each council member with a copy of that. You'll have that in your hands by the 15th of June. And again, if you have any questions or comments concerning that, please feel free to contact us.
Mr. Thompson, you finished?
Yes, sir.
Councilman Hillenbeck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, it was an excellent business plan that you presented back at the finance meeting. And I did have a request for my maps for the construction plan for specifically the phases and the out years. I'm still waiting on my maps.
We have did that, and our plan was to provide you the complete copy of.
Just put them in the mail.
That's.
And I'll check my mailbox. Okay, 'cause I'd like to see that before the meeting.
Yes,
where
sir.
we go. That's all I need to see.
Will do.
That was not in what you handed out.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman Bowery.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The adoption of the business plan, Mr. Thompson, I believe is going to be I hope is going to be enough documentation for BASF, because it does lay out the actual funding mechanisms that we're going to go after, like lowest interest loans. We did see it at finance. The plan was to vote at the next council meeting on it, but if y'all wish, maybe we could take it up tonight. I think it's been shown at finance and everyone's seen it. It's up to y'all. That's one option.
I think we just need some more time to absorb it, and I guess it could go on the agenda for the next council meeting in June, regular meeting.
So note that, Ms. Suzanne. Anyone else has any questions for him? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you,
That
sir.
completes the report, Mr. Chairman.
No, the parish president has something that he'd like to take up on the utilities, an update here.
I appreciate the indulgence of the chair. Something else that came to my home this week, I think, that I couldn't find in my material. When we talked about DEQ, it triggered it. A lot of our citizens have been affected by a landfill out in the Prairieville Bluff Road area, interstate. And when I met with the DEQ officials last week, they said it was forthcoming, some closure orders, and that we did receive those this week. The owners of D&J landfill have been ordered. They've been given 12 months from the date they received the certified mail, which should have been yesterday, today, tomorrow, to close the landfill. Now, that's good and bad in the sense that that's the only construction landfill we have in the parish. And so once that closes in 12 months, the debris left over from construction sites, those builders, the contractors, has to find a place to dispose of, unless we want this stuff burned everywhere if it's burnable. And this facility had violated, and they never had been given a permit as such. They were given something back in about '94. They were ordered to improve it. They didn't do it. And so when DEQ enforcement officers met with me last week, they said this was forthcoming, and I just wanted to let the public and the council know we did receive that. Now, you need to be thinking about, as a governing authority, if we approach Colonial landfill or we find someone else, if we don't have a facility within the parish where construction material can be properly disposed of, the cost to get rid of this leftover material could be significant, DEQ is telling us. So, Dr. Brown, one of the reasons they came to forewarn us is to help us as a parish begin to prepare, put a plan in place to how we're going to deal with construction debris 1 year from today or so. So thank you for the opportunity. I apologize for forgetting to tell you that earlier.
Thank you. Agenda number 9, Personnel Committee. There was no Personnel Committee meeting held since the last meeting. Number 10, Recreation Committee. Chairman, Mr. Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a intergovernmental agreement with the Ascension Parish School Board on Lower and Middle School for a park and Parker Road, new primary school for a park. And that's intergovernmental agreement is on for the leasing of the land.
Motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Before I call for a vote, there is a couple of people in the audience signed to speak on agenda item number 10, if I understand this correct. Kim Loop.
Hello, thank y'all for letting me come and speak. I am a resident in front of where the school is going to be on Parker. The school is going to be in my backyard, which we're very excited to have that. What I'm concerned about is the park. I know we have a lot of children that live on our street that are going to be going to that school. And the park would help them with, being able to go there and stuff, but I think I'm worried about the security issue with that park being a public park that is supposed to be between two schools, a primary school and a high school, supposedly, in the future. And with all of the, just with the security issue and the sex offenders that we have in Ascension Parish, I don't want them to be able to go to this park during the day and have access, because it's a public park, and sit there and watch our children on the playground. That is a big concern for me. And I just want to know exactly what's going to be done. I mean, I've heard that it's going to be patrolled, but if you look at all of the other parks that we have in Ascension Parish, which ones are really patrolled? I don't know of any. I know of Jambalaya Park, which is a very nice park, and one of the nicest one, if not the nicest one, in Ascension. And that is located, next to City Hall and next to the police station and all this. And, well, that's why Jambalaya Park is so nice. So I just want to know how large this park is planning on being. If it's going to be a dusk until dawn park, when is it going to be patrolled? Is it going to be patrolled during the day and at night? Or, can y'all just explain that a little bit more? And also the street that I've heard that's going to run all the way to 929, Versailles to 929. If y'all could explain that, that would be very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more. Mr. Stephen Vovetcher.
Good evening. I have a lot of the similar concerns that Mrs. Loop has. I have to say I am for parks. I think that if anybody has been anywhere else in the United States, you see that flourishing communities in the center of them, they have a lot of parks. But it's not just the park that I'm concerned about, it's what that entire area, the plan is. Are they planning on building a road that connects Fontainebleau with 929? And if they were to do something like that, with all of the community going around that, and I'm sure it's not just my neighborhood, the Oaks, I think there needs to be speed bumps or something to deter through traffic. And I understand where she's coming from, because where she lives, there would be a lot of traffic going across her front doorstep. And what is the plan for this park? What is the size of this park? I've seen a lot of the parks in Ascension, and they're really big parks. I'm a T-ball coach, and Paula Park is where we play. And maybe we could have a bunch of smaller parks with just the play sets and stuff like that. And basically, we're just here to find out exactly what the plan might be for an area like that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hillenbeck?
Yeah, if I may, I'd like to just respond to some of the concerns with what the vision is for this park site. And just so the public understands, this is a 10.5-acre site that it's property that belongs to the School Board of Ascension Parish. And this is an intergovernmental agreement that it's a long-term agreement that's leased for 10 years initially with 2 5-year terms to renew. In my talks with the school board members of the area, Mr. A.J. Nickens, Mr. Taft, Klein Peter, and discussions I've had with Mr. Ed Price, school board president, and Superintendent Sanji, they all like the idea of a park being there, which is going to be a nice buffer zone between the existing school that is being built now under construction and the future school, whatever it may be. That's a board decision. When that school is built, don't know if that's going to be 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. One thing about it, eventually there'll be another school built on that site. If it is a high school, they'll need a resource officer at that high school. Now, my vision for this park is that this is going to be a low-impact park with walk trails, picnic tables, park benches, and a pavilion, and playground equipment for small children. 9 months out of the year, you can bet that when the school is using that park, those children will be closely supervised by the teachers and employees of Ascension Parish School Board. My plan is for this park to be a sun-up to sundown park with no lights. It's strictly going to operate during the daytime hours. My plan is that this is going to be a park where if a neighborhood association wants to have a community meeting, or if a family wants to go in and have a family reunion, it'd be a nice area to do that type gathering. Now, as far as the street connectings and what have you, I didn't draw the plat map, but I do have a plat of the site. That is an 80-acre site. There is a future road drawn in there. I didn't draw the road in. That was drawn in by the planning department of the Ascension Parish School Board. Now, is that a road only for school use? I can't answer that question. All I'm here tonight to tell you is that this would make an excellent location for a park. We don't have enough green space and parks in the area. I will do everything I can as a councilman for the area to ensure that it is properly patrolled, and that hopefully one day when that school is built, whether it be a middle school or a high school, there'll be a resource officer on campus. And it'll be my goal to, rather than that resource officer from the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office take up school space, maybe there'll be a little substation, maybe he'll have his office in the back corner of that park adjacent to that school next door that he's going to work at every day. Now, this is this is very similar to the Legacy Park that was built on 621. I was on the school board then. And we worked an arrangement with the Parish Council, with the previous administration, the Marshall administration. That's a beautiful park today. It didn't happen overnight. This is a similar arrangement. I was on the school board when we bought this 80 acres. And this is an offer from the school board for a park of 10.5 acres. It's probably valued in property of $500,000–600,000. If they ever decide they need that property and they want it back, they can call it cancel the agreement. And we can take our playground equipment back, whatever improvements, and maybe go put them someplace else. But I understand Ms. Luke's concern, and I know this issue that you brought up is being addressed right now as we speak by Breck in Baton Rouge. And I'm paying attention to whatever solutions they come up with. And I'm not going to try to reinvent the wheel, but I'm going to see what they're doing to address the very problems and issues that you brought up. I'm concerned about that as well. Okay. And I hope I've answered all the questions, and that's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hillensbeck, you mentioned you got a map.
I do have a plat map.
Mr. Oliver, do we have it? I mean,
They're in the packet.
does everyone have it in the packet?
It's in your packet, Mr. Sauer. Or it may be in your stack. I'll be glad.
Mr. Chairman.
I'll make sure everybody has one here.
Yeah, it's here, it is right here. I think that's it.
No, this is the right one there.
Maybe it's that next one. Maybe it's that.
Does anyone have any other questions while I look for it? I'd like to see, be able to look at it for a second. Mr. Oliver?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to state that these parks, this is a intergovernmental agreement, and based on if the school board passed, if they agree with it. Based on that, there's no funds in our budget currently to fund these parks. We're going to go to the Parish Recreation Director that will, based on the funding available, based on the plans that we will have for these parks, they will have public meetings to address these problems based on everything goes through. But currently, right now, we have no funds for these parks. Currently, we do not have an agreement with the school board. We're hoping the school board agree to these things. This is a long, over a long period of time project. This will not happen in the next 24 months because there's a lot of details going to go in these projects. And your input in the future will make the difference of these parks. So your comments is great, and they will be addressed in the near future when these parks or plans are planned out through the recreation director in this council. Okay, I hope that helped you out right there. Mr. Chairman.
Any further questions, comments?
Just one comment. I'd like to piggyback what he said. This Youth Legacy Park on 621 in Duplessis is a beautiful park. Started out as just a piece of ground, and little by little, year by year, certain things have been done, and it's improved. And they got a nice park, very nice park in front of Duplessis School. Hopefully, one day this will be a nice park adjacent to Oak Grove. The Parker Road Primary School is now under construction. But Mr. Oliver is absolutely correct. We got to do the funding, we got to budget these things, but we got to start somewhere. And tonight, it's with this intergovernmental agreement and the resolution that we need to pass if we pass the agreement. And then it goes to the school board and they have to pass it as well.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion on the table? Motion by who? Let's repeat this. Motion by Mr. Shakespeare.
Adrian Thompson.
Mr. Adrian Thompson, second by Mr. Hillensbeck. Is there any opposition to the motion? Having none, motion passes. At this time, I would like to introduce some school board members that's here that I've just now realized. I've got School Superintendent Donald Sanjay, School Board Member Steve Broussard, President Mr. Ed Price, and Mr. Jody Ellisard. I'm not missing any, am I, guys? That's it? Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hillensbeck.
Yes, sir. Before we leave the agenda item, there is a resolution at the back of the attachment that we also need to pass. And I'd like to ask the Secretary, Suzanne Patterson, to read the resolution. On doing so, I'd like to offer a motion to pass that resolution.
We got a motion on the floor.
Or I'll
Let me
read
just, can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman? Make sure I understand what we're
Mr.
doing.
Hillensbeck, hold up, Mr. President.
Did you guys just vote to approve intergovernmental agreement with the Ascension Parish School Board for the Lowry Middle School Park and the Parker Road Park?
Yes, we do.
That's what you just did?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
No,
You did call for a vote.
I did call for a vote. I did vote on that.
We'll make sure I
That was the
understood
motion.
what the council just did.
We passed the resolution too, Mr. Hillensbeck.
We read resolutions, Mr. Chairman, at every meeting. All we did was we passed the agenda item. I asked Ms. Patterson to read the resolution. This was drafted by Mr. Babin, legally. And unfortunately, Mr. Babin's not here tonight. Thank you. Ms. Patterson's ready to read the resolution.
Mrs. Ron. Yes, ma'am.
Resolution of the Parish of Ascension. Be it resolved that a duly called and held meeting of the Parish of Ascension with a quorum present and by majority vote of the members thereof present and voting, the Parish of Ascension agreed to enter into a certain lease of the property attached hereto and made a part hereof with the Ascension Parish School Board, subject to all conditions, obligations, and rights therein contained, adopting said lease as if copied herein from Extension. Be it further resolved that the President of the Parish of Ascension is hereby authorized to and empowered for and on behalf of the Parish of Ascension to execute all documents necessary to complete the Parker Road Park lease. I hereby certify that I am the duly acting qualified secretary of the Parish of Ascension and that the above is foregoing constitutes a correct copy of the resolution duly adopted at the meeting of the Parish of Ascension held on the 7th day of June 2007, at which meeting a quorum was present and voted in favor of said resolution never having been modified or rescinded, and is still in full force and effect.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Hillenbeck,
Second.
second by Mr. Thompson. Is there any discussion? Any opposition? Mr. Carl Lambert.
Under this, it's saying all conditions, obligations, and rights therein are contained. What are these obligations that we're going to have to abide by?
It's
Mr. Larry Buqua, can you help us on this?
I think if you look at the lease, and in the terms of the lease is what they're talking about there, they're talking about this is just a resolution, fellas, to sign that document. That's all that is. It's not anything more. It doesn't bind you to anything else. It's a resolution authorizing the president to sign that. I'm not even sure you need to vote on it, but if you'd like to, I see no problem with it. But we're basically talking about all the conditions in that lease that you've already approved. That's all this is. Okay.
Resolution is non-binding anyway.
Mr. Lambert, you finished?
I'm good.
Mr. Hillenbeck.
I will say that if the lease is approved by the school board as well, we will have to insure the property. We'll be responsible for electricity. Anything normal that goes along with that property, Ascension Parish School Board will expect Ascension Parish government to pick up the cost. It's normal and standard, and all of this was drafted, came from Mr. Ricky Babbitt.
Any further discussion on the motion? Is there any opposition to the motion? Having none, motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, and I'd just like to thank the Ascension Parish School Board. I believe that they'll have no problem passing their resolution, but I thank them in advance for their graciousness. Thank you.
Ms. Fonda?
Oh, he's still going.
I'm sorry. Mr. Oliver?
Recreation subcommittee meeting on the ABA on the baseball. We did have a meeting back in May, and that meeting went very well. We got with the recreation director, the CL, and the special committee. The Sheriff Fontenot was on there. And we worked out a real good plan with the ABA, and since we worked that plan out, we had no complaints, and the ballparks are in good condition. They have the supplies they needed. We made out a long-term plan and a short-term plan. We met all short-term plans, I'm pretty sure, and the long-term plan will be going in effect next year when baseball starts. And we will start that in the month of December, about 4 months before baseball kickoff. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. Number 11, Transportation Committee. Chairwoman Fonda.
Thank you, Councilman Savoy. We did not meet this past week, but we had met previously, and the intergovernmental agreement between the city of Donaldsonville wasn't quite ready at that time, but it was passed through committee, and it was accepted. There are 3 roads that are in Donaldsonville that are on our road list to complete, and there's some projects already ongoing in Donaldsonville, and we're joining together with an intergovernmental agreement to speed things along. And unless anybody has any questions of our DPW Director, Bob Turner, I'll make a motion that we accept this.
Second.
Got a motion by Ms. Fontenot, second by Mr. Thompson. For informational purposes, there was a new document handed out prior to the meeting. Just for your information, make sure you're aware of that.
What was changed in the new document?
I do not know, Ms. Fontenot.
That document is the document that we're waiting for we have an intergovernmental agreement is written out with the city of Donaldsonville, and that documentation, that's what that documentation is. We never had a intergovernmental agreement from the attorney. This is the attorney intergovernmental agreement that
Okay.
the parish president will be signing with the mayor of Donaldsonville.
Any further discussion? Any opposition to the motion? Having none, motion passes.
I just want to remind everybody that we do meet next week, the second Tuesday of the month, at around 6:30 or whenever the utility committee finishes up. Everybody's welcome to come. Remember, the kids are out of school. Slow down. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fontenot. Number 12, Strategic Planning Committee. Chairman Chase Knight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did not meet this past month. However, agenda items 22 through 24 from the last meetings are addressed later on in this meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Fontenot. Mr. Chase Knight. Number 13, Finance Committee. Chairman Byron.
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Number 14, Executive Committee. We had a meeting on the pharmacy bills for the jail. And Mr. McConnell, would you take that up for me, please?
Yes, sir, I will, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Well, this council had every good intention of doing what we could to promote our local business, to do business with those people who live here, work here, and continue to reinvest in our community. We had several discussions and some long meetings about this, but in the end, it has been brought to us by our legal counsel that we did not have cause to reject the bid previously when we did so, the low bid being by Diamond Pharmaceuticals for various and sundry reasons. And without having that cause, it is the recommendation of legal, and thus then it's the recommendation of the Executive Committee that that objection for cause be withdrawn and that the motion be made to accept the low bid of Diamond Pharmaceuticals.
Mr. Chairman, I offer that motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Byron, second by Ms. Fontenot. Is there any discussion? Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes.
And I thank our purchasing department, Mr. Chairman, for the hard work that they did put in. I hope we didn't put them on the spot, although I know that we did. But it was a sticky widget there for a while, and she took it like a sport. Thank you, Bonnie.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
May I ask one question?
Mr. Oliver.
Mr. McConnell.
Sir.
Is that contract for 1 year only, or?
Yes, it
Ms.
is.
Bonnie?
I believe it's a annual, but Ms. Bonnie can probably tell you better than I can.
Yes, it is, and it's renewable if we so
May
choose.
1, 2007 to April 30, 2008.
All right. Thank you. Number 15, bids. Ms. Bonnie Burrell, purchasing agent.
We accepted bids on the official journal. We received one bid from the Gonzales Weekly Citizen. We recommend accepting their bid.
I move to accept that bid.
Second. Motion by Mr. McConnell, second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Is there any discussion? Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passed.
We also accepted bids for Fire District Number 1 on generators. We received one bid from Arco Power Systems. We recommend accepting their bid.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Dempsey Lambert, second by Mr. Byringer. Is there any discussion? Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Byringer.
Thank you.
Number 17, resolutions for the donation of a 1999 Ford Crown Victoria bearing the VIN number 2FAFP71W1XX196811 by the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office to the Parish of Ascension Fire District Number 1. Mr. Bouquois.
I move the resolution, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. McConnell, second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Is there any discussion? Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes.
Good job, Larry.
Number 17. Well, we were supposed to read that resolution. Number 17, a resolution for the donation of a 1999 Crown Victoria bearing the VIN number 2FAFP71W1XX196789 by the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office to Ascension Parish Fire District Number 2.
So moved.
Can we wait till Mr. Bouquois gets up before?
Motion by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Byriger. Is there any opposition? Having no opposition, motion passes. Number 18 has a resolution for the donation of a 1999 Crown Victoria bearing the VIN number 2FAFP7 1W2XX196803 by the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office to the Ascension Parish Fire District Number 3.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Fontenot, second by Mr. Byriger. Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Number 19, Planning and Zoning Recommendation. Zoning Review ID 1708.07, track LJG for Daystar Investments located on the east side of Highway 73, approximately 5,000 feet north of Louisiana Highway 30 to amend the Ascension Parish zoning map from conservation to business park. This is for review only. Number 20, Orange Grove Development Revised Conceptual Plan, Plan Unit Development, PUD, located on the north side of Louisiana Highway 22, approximately 4,000 feet west of Louisiana Highway 70, Section 9, T10SR3 East. This is to accept or deny. I do have someone wishing to speak on this agenda item.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
This is...
I'm going to ask to be recused from this agenda item.
Yes, sir, Mr. Shea Snyder. I'm going to ask Ms. Catherine Goppel.
Thank you. Good evening. When the Planning Commission and the Council originally passed the concept plan for the Orange Grove Plan Unit Development, or PUD, on Highway 22 in southern Ascension, it was their first. Then neither of you understood the concept. The PUD ordinance should not become another tool for the developers to circumvent our laws and increase density. Conservation allows 1 house per acre. 134 acres translates to 134 homes. You approved 333 lots on September 7, 2006. At that time, Councilman Shea Snyder was absent. As chairman of the Strategic Planning Committee, he was instrumental in preparing and passing the PUD ordinance. His family sold this property to the developer of Ascension's first PUD a month earlier. This 134.34 acre sale was recorded at the Clerk of Court's office on August 1, 2006 for the sum of $3,772,272, $28,080 per acre. We do appreciate Councilman Shea Snyder recusing himself from this decision tonight to increase the 333 lots with an additional 16 more. You have 12 guiding principles in your zoning code. There are 4 that apply tonight to this decision. Number 1 is to protect public safety, considering the growth on a narrow rural road system. Along with this PUD, there are 955 homes being considered along Highway 22 to the west. This will mean almost 1,300 new residences with an average of 2 vehicles per residence that will use this state road, which is now in need of repair. Other developments may come. It doesn't take much to imagine the traffic congestion that will result. Just look at North Ascension. Principle 2 is to manage growth. Encourage growth only in areas of the parish that can support it with adequate soil drainage and physical infrastructure. This character comes from open space, trees, and historic sites. Principle 3, preserve the rural character of the parish. Preserve rural conservation and recreation areas from high-intensity residential and commercial development. And number 7 says, discourage subdivision development with the 100-year floodplain. This development should be largely restricted to the northern part of the parish outside the 100-year floodplain. You have the final say, Council, on any zoning changes related to PUDs. Please do not let this loophole become a noose around your necks. The election is October 20th. It is your duty to represent the interests of the citizens first while considering the requests of developers. I would encourage you to deny this zoning change. Thank you.
That's all that has signed up to speak on this agenda item. What's the wishes of the council?
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion to accept Planning and Zoning's recommendation, which is to accept the PUD.
Motion by Mr. Byriger.
Second.
Second by Mr. Oliver. Discussion? Mr. McConnell.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I was given a letter to read this is from the town of Sorrento, and it's addressed to the council. Dear sirs, sorry, Ms. Fontenot, she left you out. Dear sir, speaking out on behalf of myself and Sorrento Councilman Ed Peasant, Milton Vicknair, Larry Lee, Troy Bro, and Randy Annie, we would like to let you know that we support the Orange Grove development proposed on Highway 22, just outside the Sorrento town limits. We believe that this development will encourage economic development down Highway 22 in Sorrento. We also believe that it is highly possible for the Ascension Parish School Board to construct an elementary school on donated land in the development that will be good for both the residents of the development and the residents of Sorrento. Your sincere consideration on this development will be greatly appreciated by me and the councilmen of Sorrento. With kind regards, I remain sincerely yours, Brenda Melanson, Mayor of Sorrento. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Byron.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know it's a little unusual, but the school board superintendent is here, and there's many talks of building a school here, and if it's in line and you would allow, I'd like to, and Mr. Superintendent would like to answer a question, I'd like to ask him one, if you're okay with that, Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Byron.
Thank you.
He may address.
Mr. Sanjay, would you mind coming to the mic? I hate to put you on the spot.
You might feel better asking Mr. Price, since he's elected. Let him put him on the spot.
Mr. Sanjay, I understand that Orange Grove is planning to donate a piece of property to the school board, and word is that y'all would like to build a school. Is that true? And could you possibly elaborate if y'all will build a school there?
The developers of Orange Grove have offered to donate a piece of property for the purposes of building a school. It is a piece of property that is suitable to build a school. It is in an area where we need a school, and if the property is donated to us, we plan to build a school on that property, yes.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Simon.
Ms. Fontenot.
I do have some concerns. I did do a PowerPoint last time on this, and you all have this in your packet. I'm not against Orange Grove. I am for Sorrento. I lived there for 17 years of my life. I know that it needs an economic boost. I also know that Highway 22 is not in good condition. Both exits come out on there. My only concern with this change is 16 additional houses. We approved 333, which was 199 more than the conservation allowed. And they're given some land, but now they're going to still get the 333. The only thing I'm opposed to, and I cannot support, is 16 additional homes. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Mr.
One
Byron.
small additional comment, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Fontenot, I understand your concerns, but this is the first PUD we ever approved, and I think it's kind of a legacy for the parish. Nowhere else in this parish have we had a development donate property for a school. We're going to get a fire station out of it. I believe they're going to donate $150,000 to build a fire station. And not only are they going to give the property for the school, they're going to do a lot of the infrastructure improvements for the school and, I believe, for the fire station. So if we get this type thing from developers, I am willing to give up an extra 16 lots. Thank you.
Mr. Todd Lambert.
Yeah, this development here is one that we didn't get any opposition on. I just want to let the people know no one opposed this particular development. Just want to let y'all know on that one.
Any further? We have a motion and a second. Is there any opposition to the motion?
I oppose.
One objection, Ms. Fontenot. Motion passes. Number 21, River Crossing, planned unit development located on the east side of Louisiana Highway 22, approximately 4,100 feet north of Louisiana Highway 942, River Road, section 57 and 12, Township 10 South, Range 2 East. This is for acceptance or denial. Before we move any further, I have, ladies and gentlemen, 21 in the audience that's wishing to speak on this agenda item that I will call on. I'm going to ask I'm going to yield, I'm willing to yield 3 minutes to everyone, but with 21 here, please try to keep it from being redundant. If you would like, the ones that are opposing the river crossing development, would you please come up, and if you could have a speaker, I'll yield you more time. If you want to show, if you're here to show support to oppose it, and I want you to have the opportunity to be there. In order to try to speed this thing up a little bit, I would like for all of you that oppose the development to please come up and have your say, so you'll be ready to go. And or I can call you out one at a time. Mr. DuPlessis. Well, you the first one, Mr. DuPlessis. You can. Come on up.
My name is Bristol Plessis of 3238 Bristol Plessis Road. I'm opposed to the proposed river crossing development. I'm a third-generation cattleman. My livelihood depends on cattle farming. All 3 generations farm cattle on this land, and in fact, my family owns 240 acres directly bordering this proposed development. I've lost many other leased acres to industry needing buffer zones due to the clash of cultures. Over the years, I've seen farmers put out of business when new developments clash with the unpleasantness of existing businesses or farms. Cooper T. Smith, which operates their business directly adjacent to this property, employs many people in this parish. The nature of their business will probably be offensive to newcomers. There is also a large mulch facility directly adjacent to this property. It does not have a pleasant smell on some days. You are mixing 2 totally separate cultures. Culture defined as shared beliefs and values of a group. The shared beliefs and values of the residents of Dara is that it stays rural, so that they maintain the same standard of living that we are accustomed to. Rural living is a dying culture in Ascension Parish. New residents move from abroad saying that they want to live a suburban/rural lifestyle, usually end up bringing the big city culture to us. And that is what we are fighting to prevent on our end of the parish. My family is not opposed to new neighbors as long as they share the beliefs of our culture. The existing zoning of conservation somewhat keeps the rural nature of this land intact. I come to you again tonight to ask you to uphold your planning and zoning committee's decision to deny consideration of the proposed conceptual plan for river crossing plan unit development. I've been to every meeting in which I was informed about, and nothing has changed from the conception of this plan until now. In fact, this plan was presented in a different light last year, and I feel that the developer is just in a way bribing the parish into doing what was turned down in the first place. I'm sure that there is place for these planned urban developments, but Dara is not ready for such a high-density development. In the original zoning meetings, the parish government, as well as the residents, that agreed that conservation zoning was best for this particular area. Please uphold your original decision and keep it zoned conservation. As represented in your Ascension Parish Development Code, the parish government affords that they will preserve the rural character of the parish. We are asking you to let Dara uphold the clause of the Development Code. I present this question for you. If development continues to put the farmer out of business, what will we eat? Thank you for hearing my views.
All right, next we're going to hear from Lester McClellan.
Lester McLean with McLean and Associates. We've represented this project and handled it. We've complied with all the ordinances and all the requirements by the review engineering agency. The traffic study was prepared under the guidelines of the engineer review agency. And at the direction of the review engineer, we did not include in our study the 15-acre school site. That has been questioned, but that is why it wasn't included. But there's a 15-acre school site to be donated by the developer. Based on the traffic study, we plan to construct a left turn lane off of Highway 22 at our main entrance. And we're also going to work with DOTD to modify signal and timing at the intersection of Highway 22 and 44. As far as the drainage, by ordinance, we cannot increase runoff from our development. We have complied with all the review engineer's requirements. The property is not located in a flood zone. We propose to construct 18 acres of ponds, detention ponds, and our study shows that, that we decrease the runoff by about 30% at our major outfall. All drainage that presently flows through the project will continue to flow through our drainage system.
All right, next we're going to hear from Tracy Medine.
Hi, my name is Tracy Medine. I live at 37609 Highway 22 in Darrah. I've lived in Darrah all my life. I'm one of the 5 landowners that's wanting to sell. I come here tonight to ask y'all to approve the PUD development because I think it will be a good for our parish and our community. As we all know, Ascension Parish is growing fast. I'm asking y'all to let us grow in the parish. Thanks.
Next, we're going to hear from John Robert Jr.
My name is John Robert Jr. I'm opposed to this river crossing development. I had sent a letter to each of the councilmen and also the parish president, and I hope you had a chance to read it. I know it was a long letter, but it expressed my views. I'm not going to read the whole letter again, but just go over some of the highlights. And the main reason I'm opposed is the inconsistency with the current zoning. You're looking at overall density of 2.58 homes per acre, but the residential density of what people are actually buying is going to be like 3.62, and they're 6,000 acre lots. I mean a 6,000 square foot lots, which is like 0.14 acre lot, and the type of person that's going to buy a 0.14 acre lot belongs in the middle of Baton Rouge, not in Darrah. They're going to be completely out of place, and things that Briss mentioned I think are going to be a major problem. The lack of infrastructure, I think, it's been mentioned a lot. It's a serious problem that needs to be dealt with, and I think a turn lane on 44 is not going to solve the problem that we have. The property owners surrounding this development are opposed to it. 90% of the property owners are opposed to it. Does that have any weight with this council? We're the citizens of this parish in this area being affected by this development. I think that should carry a lot of weight. It seems that our only plan for controlling residential growth in this parish is that we don't have a plan. Before zoning, we didn't have an excuse for not planning, but now we have zoning. And people spend a lot of time developing a zoning plan for this parish. It's not perfect, but it's what we have. Why don't we let it do what it's designed for? The Planning and Zoning Board got it right when they voted this thing down in the first place. I think they had good reasons for doing it. I think we need to get beyond the mindset of improving infrastructure based on what we can get a developer to do. I think it's not enough. If it was working, then the rest of the parish wouldn't be such a mess that it is. Everywhere you look, we have traffic problems in the parish and lack of infrastructure. It's simply not working. I mentioned in my letter, I think we need impact fees. I really think we do. why don't we take that issue on and pass it, and then we won't be trying to squeeze infrastructure out of these developments, which is just too little. The biggest argument I've heard from some of the councilmen that seem to be for this thing is sewer and water. And what I've read about this is all of the utilities already exist. They're going to have a private sewer system that's going to service this development. I don't know what other existing sewer is going to serve. We do have a water problem in the Dara area, especially in the winter. It may bring in a water line, but as far as I'm concerned, this thing's not worth having a water line. Dara has a 49,000-gallon system that was recently put in that services the whole town of Dara. I think it serves about 150 homes. I think Hillaryville has got a similar system coming. Federal money, I think it's some low-income thing. So I don't see that as a big argument. And the other thing is, Briss had mentioned this, but Cooper, Cooper doesn't have a lot of infrastructure to hold them here. They can easily move up or down the river. Most of their investment is floating on the water, and they employ about 200 people, and we could easily lose Cooper. And I think this parish needs to consider that. So I'm opposed to this thing, and I hope you really think about this thing seriously before you vote. Thank you.
Ms. Carly Smiley.
Good evening. I'm Carly Smiley. I live at 37569 Highway 22 in Darren. I own the single largest tract of land for the river crossing proposed development. And at this time, I want to sell. The proposed development in no way affects anyone's livelihood. It is strictly for the use of its owners. 26 years ago, my parents, all my siblings, and I signed an option to mill a coal for 570 acres, Thatcher included. Miller Coal decided not to buy. Had they bought, we would not be here tonight discussing something as nice as a 176-acre development. I stand here before you tonight choosing not to separate myself from my heritage. Our community was once linked by unity. There was no talk of cultural difference. It was all considered one. Our greatest challenge is to take people who have so much to divide them and find a reason to unite them. Your vote to accept this program tonight is appreciated. Thank you.
Next, Patty Boudreau.
My name is Patty Boudreau. I live at 38093 Highway 22. Years ago, and I feel like a broken record again, but years ago when we started with the zoning, we chose, the people in Dara chose to be zoned conservation. After going through quite a few of them, that's finally what we stuck with, and they said, okay, and that's what we would like to stay. As far as for the drainage out there, as of right now, no, there's no drainage issues. They said they're going to put an 18-acre pond, or 18-acre ponds, however they're going to do it. What's going to happen when these ponds are full? Where's the rest of the water going to go? I have land on my place right now that floods now that used to not flood before. All that's going to do is make it worse, because once the ponds are full, they're full. As far as for the adjacent land issues, they say it's not going to mess up anybody's livelihood. What about those of us that have horses or cattle? My kids rodeo. They have horses, they have calves, they practice rodeoing. They come up with this PUD. What are they going to do? Are they going to put, I would like to know if they're going to put a fence around. What kind of fence are they going to put? How can I keep what is mine protected? And if I can't keep what's mine protected, then that does mess not only with my livelihood, but with my children's and my grandchildren. Besides, you have calves out there, you have cows. Britt said that. He's a farmer, third-generation farmer. They have cattle out there. You go out there, you take those calves from the cows twice a year. Who's going to be coming to make the cows hush because the people in the PUD can't sleep? I'd like to see that one myself. The schools. They're saying, they hadn't said it yet, but they were pushing big time at the Planning and Zoning Commission. They were going to put a school. It started out as 10 acres with the option for them to buy 5 more. Now they're saying 15 acres. Well, if they're going to put the school, which Donald Sanji said earlier they were going to put it at Orange Grove if it was offered, why do we need another one not 6 miles down the road? I don't see any sense in it myself. Then you do have Cooper Smith, that's down there, which, like they said, employs 200 people, but they make a lot of noise at night, too. And believe me, some of the smells aren't the best in the world. It's all farmland, and we love the way we live, and we would just like to be able to keep it that way. We don't have a problem with anybody selling land. We would just like it to stay the way it is zoned. Thank you.
Julia Shakesnyder.
Good evening. My name is Julie Shexana, and I live at 14095 Anna Road. I'm a landowner. I own 24 acres that I inherited from my mother when she passed away in 2005. I believe it's my right to do what I want with my land. I believe this land has been given to me as a gift. I believe it's my responsibility to take my land, add something, and be able to give back to the community. We have extraordinary opportunities ahead of us. The only thing that is certain is change. Tonight, I thank you for being forward-minded people and moving us forward with this project. Thank you very much.
Dr. Robert Judas.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. And it's down the list. Everyone has pretty well said what I was going to say. But my two big concerns are the water supply. They promised this and that. A larger pipe doesn't make water come out of it. An example, a relatively new house in Darrell, right next to this project, burned to the ground 2 weeks ago, supposedly because of lack of water in the system. Number one. Number two, what happens to the smell? As was brought up about the mulch plant and the other. If these lots don't sell, what happens? Where will they just go down? There's a lot of things that they talked about, a barrier next to the mulch plant, but that doesn't stop smells. That's two of my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Lee Wagasback.
Yes, my name is Lee Wagenspach. I live at 37509 Highway 22 in Darrell. My property borders the boundaries of the land that's for sale. With this, I would like to thank the council members that answered, 3 of y'all that answered my emails. I have nothing against anyone, I say anyone, I mean my neighbors, for selling their property. But when the developer wants to put a large number of homes on about 120 acres of developed land, this becomes a problem. We don't have the infrastructure to support development at this time. My other concern is that the same out-of-parish developer that tried to approval for a high-density subdivision on his property in October 2006 was denied by the zoning commission. Now he's under the cloak of a PUD. Why a drastic change from a high-density subdivision to a PUD? I'm not sure. It sure looks that he was coached on a right avenue to get this development passed on this land. This is a question that every voter in the parish should be asking, not just the area, people around this area. We have another PUD development coming up at Orange Grove, within 6 miles from here. Why don't we, the people of Ascension, the council, look at this subdivision that's being built as the first one that Mr. Berger announced and see how it falls through? Not put several in the parish before we really know what's the impact. Sure, developers donating 10 acres to sweeten the pot to the school board, and an additional 5 will be bought. But in reality, who wants to bus their children to a school way out there? In closing, 28 years ago, I was with a group of people that were fighting industrial landfill, presently where Pelican Point is. So there's always light at the end of the rainbow. And I would appreciate y'all voting, denying this land development. Thank you.
Catherine Goffin.
Thank you. Available land in Ascension, now the fastest growing parish in Louisiana, is limited, and developers are moving south. Let's hope their developments don't do the same in the flooded housing market. The 176 piece of property for the proposed river crossing PUD is located in one of the few areas left in our parish presently zoned conservation. If you follow the code, you will only allow 176 lots, not the 455 being presented. Protect public safety and property, manage the growth, don't increase the density. That's not what PUDs were meant to do. The subdivision development like this should be restricted to the northern parts of the parish. That's what your development code says. Candidate Hughes made a promise when he ran in his last campaign. It was related to zoning. He said he would enact common sense zoning. He gave us PUDs, MUDs, SPUDs, and TNDs. He stated in the mailer that is here in my hand, and I quote, "No one should be able to build anything they want next door to you. Ronnie will protect our property values and way of life." Then he gave us this FEMA trailer park on Highway 621 near Chase Court. Residents in Councilman Valentine's district have experienced this broken promise firsthand. Will the residents in Councilman Thompson's district experience the same? River crossing is not common sense zoning that was proposed. Keep the density down, manage the growth, and follow your own rules. Protect the interests of Ascension Parish residents. Deny this conceptual plan on 176 acres with 455 homes. Thank you.
Amanda White.
Hi, my name is Amanda White. My physical address is 3294 Bristol Plus Road.
Can you get closer to the mic, please?
Yes, sir. I oppose the river crossing plan unit development. I would like to see the property stay zone conservation. I enjoy the lifestyle that I live in and have grew up in. I will inherit land and hope to raise my children in the same lifestyle. Years ago, the parish government came together to decide on what zoning would be appropriate for this area. After many considerations, you and your predecessors decided the conservation zoning would keep our rural life intact. Thank you.
Teresa Clack.
Good evening. I'm Teresa Clark. My address is 114 Seminole Lane here in Donaldsonville. I live in Donaldsonville now, but I have lived in Darrah most of my life. And it's always been my plans when I retire in a few years, I will move back to Darrah. This is a perfect place. River Crossing will be perfect. And to answer Mr. John Robert Jr.'s question, I'm the type of person that's going to want that 60-foot lot because I don't want a lot of grass. I'm getting too old, so I want the flowers but not the grass. So I would really appreciate your considering passing this development. Thank you very much.
Millette Vice.
Good evening. My name is Millette Smalley Vice, and I live at 1906 South Angela Street in Gonzales. I own 24 acres in Darrah, which I inherited after my mother's death, which I choose to sell. My land was a gift. Me and my children's lives are linked by more than blood. They're linked by sacrifice and flexibility. Silent gifts and untold sacrifices add up to form integrity hidden in a giving community. I am proud of the legacy left behind by my mother and my grandparents. I believe growth and development would be a great way to honor what they started. By initiating this development, let us leave a memory behind to make our own mark. Thank you for your time.
Douglas Villain.
Thank you. My name is Doug Villian. I'm a planning consultant from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. My address, 618 Pasture View, Baton Rouge. In the interest of keeping this short, I'll address a couple of the comments first as to why this was turned down by the Planning and Zoning Commission of Ascension. There was three main points why it was turned down, and that was addressing the farmers' complaints that cattle may be a nuisance to the adjacent property owners. Spraying of crops and burning of crops might be an issue. One of the commissioners had an issue with the school site not being included in the traffic study, and the density was another issue. Since that time, not only prior to that Planning Commission meeting, we had several workshops with the planning commissioners. We also considered all of their comments, and since that time have revised the plan to include several things. And if you refer to the report in the preface, there's a list of those items that were addressed. I won't burden you with that list now because it's rather lengthy. Pending approval of this development, we'd like to mention what our contributions to the parish and the local community would be. By constructing 403, and that's the figure now, on the preface page it's 415, that's a typo, 403 dwellings, the residents will be contributing to the tax base of the parish. They will pay property taxes, sales taxes, and they'll also need jobs and schools, parks, and places to buy their groceries. By dedicating the 40 acres to open space and green links and ponds, the people will have places to recreate and enjoy the tranquility within this development. We'll be donating site preparation and infrastructure to the Ascension Parish School Board, where we plan to donate 10 acres to the Parish School Board and sell at our cost, 5 acres. We're making available to area residents the job opportunities at the school as well as the new businesses within this community. We're providing neighborhood shopping that is convenient to the neighbors and the area residents around this project so that they don't have so far miles to go to get incidental items or personal service items. We encourage within this development walking. The schools, the parks, the commercial and residential aspects of this project will all be interconnected by pedestrian access. We're providing street stub outs to the adjacent properties for future developments, alleviating the issues that may be caused by single access points. We're providing an expansive 35-foot buffer around the entire project, except the school site. And this is rather a rarity. You don't find that much good real estate being dedicated exclusively to a buffer area. Lack of infrastructure is a big concern. Yes, we're donating an estimated $909,000 just at the outset in contributions to the parish. We're donating an estimated $200,000 in land value to that school, and that is called infrastructure. We're donating. We're constructing and extending over 2 miles of water line down Highway 22. That's infrastructure. And that's not just available for our development, and that's at a cost of $264,000. And this should eventually produce a reduction in the cost of to the users of this system. And it will eventually, and that's provided by, as I understand it, the Baton Rouge Water Company is providing that service. So that water will be coming down Highway 22. We're constructing a new sewer treatment plant for this development and the school, and that system will also be accessible to Highway 22 in the event that eventually the community or the area needs to connect to that plant. There will obviously be a line and available potential to upgrade, and that's at a cost of $360,000. That's called infrastructure. We're constructing a turning lane at a cost of $85,000, another infrastructure item. We're improving fire protection, not only within the development as required by law, but all along Highway 22, as we run that line down, we're going to put fire hydrants at every 1,200 feet. Additionally, we're constructing 3.4 miles of roads within the development, constructing 4.6 miles of sidewalks and paths. We're constructing 9 miles or more of water line and constructing 3.5 miles of sewer line, all infrastructure items. All these things make for a good planned unit development, a good traditional development. There will be a place where people can live, work, and play and enjoy the country living around it. I thank you very much. If you have any questions, please feel free.
I do have a question.
Let me just hold it, please. Son Sullivan.
Hello, my name is Son Sullivan. I'm one of the developers of River Crossing. I just wanted to comment on a few things I've heard so far tonight. One, we have changed this plan pretty dramatically. As some of y'all have seen this plan in the kind of various stages. We've been through 2 workshops. We have incorporated over 90% of the comments we have and have changed 90% to the comments. We are complying with the PUD ordinance. We are providing more infrastructure that is normal in this type of development. You know, we believe that we're bringing a lot of assets, and no, we don't believe that any project is without liabilities. There's not a project out there, whether it's from you guys, the Corps of Engineers, the federal government, that does not have some problems with it. We believe that we have addressed those problems. Someone commented earlier about the fire. We are running a 12-inch water line 2 miles down there that will be available for the Darrow and everyone along Highway 22 that it touches. It will bring down the water rates, and that fire wouldn't have happened had that line been there, possibly. As far as whether we need another school site, the original was an elementary school in Orange Grove. The school board is talking about a middle school where we're at. It needs 15 acres. We're looking at additional, placing another 2 acres for the site. I'm not sure exactly what the FEMA park was commented about. That's not our intentions. It never has been our intentions. We've always had market housing. The utilities do really not exist right now for that area, but we intend to bring them up to standards, and we intend to do that. And we have bought 4 properties from people with cattle. In 4 of those instances, they have kept half of their land to run cattle on. We do not have conflicting land uses. The cattle don't bother the people, and the people don't bother the cattle. We think this is a good project for both Darrow and Ascension Parish, and we believe the positives far outweigh the negatives, and we hope you will support the project. Thank you.
Now we're going to hear from Chris Robert.
My name is Chris Robert. I live at 6119 Brewerton Road in Burnside. I am a adjacent property owner of this development. Mr. Chairman, if you give me a little leeway, may I address the audience?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Everyone here against this development, could you please stand up? And if you are a property owner adjacent to this development, raise your hand. Thank you. Also, these developers are really talking about a school. If I'm not mistaken, they had some school board members here earlier, but they all left. Are they here to address this issue? And that's all. Thank you.
Mark Baston.
It's Assistant DA Ricky Babin. I'm sorry about that.
My name is Mark Basden, and I do work for the land developer. However, right now I'm here as a citizen of Ascension Parish, and I live at 15099 Woodstone Drive in Prairieville. I guess the things that I would like for the council to know is that, you know, I do work for the developer. However, this is my livelihood. This is how I make money, and this is how, you know, this is going to impact the economy in Ascension Parish to the positive, in that, you know, it does supply construction jobs. All the materials that are brought into this development through home construction, whether it be the actual development itself, all that tax dollars gets paid into this parish. It's not just, a lot of the people are saying that it's a drain on the parish, and it's not. We're actually adding, you know, quality of life. Places like Cabela's and Lowe's and some of those new, you know, commercial people that are coming to town are not coming because there's nobody living here. They're coming because we're the 9th fastest growing county or parish in the United States. And so all those things, to me, add to the quality of life in Ascension Parish. And that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to run cattlemen out of business, and we're not trying to do any of that. We're just trying to increase the quality of life in this parish. And the reason that developments are successful here is because it's a great place to live. And, you know, this is a memorandum that came from the school board, and it's just a memorandum of understanding. It says it's the intent of Vantage Construction to donate 10 acres and sell at cost 5 acres to the Ascension Parish School Board. The only stipulation to the donation is the school begin construction there within 8 years. The developer will help coordinate any site improvements and infrastructure needed for the school, and this is signed by Donald Sanji. I don't have any understanding why he left, or maybe he felt like he didn't need to stay and comment on this since we'd already had this letter of understanding between the two of us. And that there's a copy of this in your packets. Thank you.
All right. Matthew Robert.
Thank you. My name is Matthew Robert. I live at 10299 Lake Park Avenue in Gonzales. I'm an adjacent landowner to this property for the proposed unit development. I just recently purchased this property. I was hoping that My plans was for my family and I to move out into the rural area. I'd like for my children to have the same opportunities that I did when I grew up. My father had a lot of land and was able to do 4-H and have horses and that type of thing. My daughter's only 18 months old. If this development comes in, what's the chances of me being able to have a horse on my property that I just purchased? There's going to be a stipulation of where what's there is there, and any new things, farm animals, things like that, aren't going to be allowed. You know, maybe I should reconsider about moving to Dara. Maybe Ascension Parish isn't a place for me. I don't know. Dara is one of the last rural areas that we have in the parish, and I would ask that we maintain what we have and that we vote no against this. But thank you.
I'm going to try this name, so please excuse the pronunciation. Is there a Sadie Darrow? Or is that supposed to be subdivision in Darrow? Maybe that might be the title. All right. We're going to go with Bert Moore.
My name's Bert Moore. I'm a traffic engineer. I work for Neil Schaefer Engineering. I performed the traffic study for this development. We performed the traffic study based on the scope of work dictated by the Engineering Review Agency for Ascension Parish. There were no comments on it that I know of, and I'm here to answer any questions y'all may have about traffic in the area. Thank you.
And we have John Robert Sr.
Thank you for the opportunity to address you. I have 4 issues that I feel are very important. These issues should be considered by each and every one of you as being a factor to deny this development. Number 1, 2 weeks ago, 28 individuals who are landowners surrounding this property met with Mr. Adrian Thompson. I think he well remembers this meeting. Every person there would like to see you deny this development. Issue number 2. Planning and zoning. Planning and zoning is an arm of Ascension Parish, which is part of you. These guys, I went to all of their meetings. They were very conscientious in looking at every aspect of this development. They felt very strongly that this is the wrong place for any number of reasons that's been mentioned tonight. Issue number 3, roads. I think it goes without saying the condition of Ascension Parish with roads. A gentleman here tonight said that Highway 42, if I remember correctly, could be classified as F. What about Highway 44? I don't know if many of you councilmen live close to Highway 44, but it's terrible. And what is the state going to do? They're going to blacktop it. They're going to resurface it. Is that going to do any good? No. It's not going to do a bit of good. This development, if it proceeds, you can look at 800 cars that has to use Highway 44. Plus River Ridge. I don't know how many there. plus Pelican Crossing, new development. What does that come to? 2,600 cars. You tell me how 26 additional cars with what we have now is going to pass on Highway 44. Two-lane traffic. Road rage? You hadn't seen any road rage. It's going to be terrible. Issue number 4. Dara, one of the last rural areas in Ascension Parish that is not zoned industrial. It's a treasure. It's a beautiful place. We were fortunate to buy acreage adjacent to this property, which I'd say, and a lot of people agree, some of the most beautiful property along the river. I would like to preserve that. I would like other people to be able to buy an acre or 2 acres so they can have space. Some of us like space. A lot of people don't. They want a postage stamp. Well, I think there's a lot of areas in the parish where you can buy that postage stamp. You know? But I think it behooves you guys to leave an area that people like myself and others, if they want space, there's an area they can go to. But if you do what it looks like you probably will, it's going to mess the area up. In that, we're going to have a concentration, small lots. You know, I'm not against these people selling their property, but I think there's other things that can be done. So I hope that you look at this very hard, those of you who don't have your mind made up, and consider the things that I brought up. Thank you.
All right, with that, that's the last speaker. Any council member have any questions or comments?
So, Chairman?
Mr. Todd Lambert.
Yeah, looking at the opposition on this situation, and, you know, we did go through the zoning back in the 90s. I was involved in it. A lot of public hearings were taking place, and they zoned it conservationist for a reason. And I'm going to respect that, and that's the way I'm going to support it. I respect y'all decision, and I'm going to oppose this development.
Ms. Fontenot.
I did have a question to ask. Is it Mr. McGlynn?
Mr. McLean is down.
Okay, you're Villian? Yes, Mr. Villian. You spoke a while ago and you said something about 403 homes.
Yes, ma'am.
From the 455.
Yes, ma'am.
When did that change? Did this go back to planning and zoning? Because it's not the same PUD that they denied.
It's the same layout. It's only well, there's some other items in the development that planning and zoning had requested that we change, and we addressed those.
I guess I'm asking if you changed the PUD, should it have gone back to them? If they're not bringing to us to vote on the same PUD that was denied, I have a problem with that. I have a problem with changes being done midstream. But you answered my question. That's good for now. I want to ask the parish president. Parish president, you said earlier that we're the 9th in growth in the nation. Our growth is exploding, and now PUDs seem to be leaning toward higher density living. What are your feelings about this river crossing and its density in light of the citizens' objections?
Obviously, I don't get a vote on this tonight. I've been listening to both sides, and we'll be impartial now. If the council approves this, then I have an opportunity to vote one way or the other, and then obviously everybody will know my decision at that time.
Thank you. I also wanted to say this to everybody. We denied a big development in Cornerview. Okay? We denied it because the plants and important businessmen wrote us, came to see us, did all sorts of other things. That wasn't the reason I denied it, but that was the reason why many of you chose not to support it. Do these important, so-called important people have more weight with this council than these citizens that are out there? That's a question that you need to ask yourself when you vote. The citizens back here that are wanting to sell your land, everybody in America can sell their land, but we sell it at the value that it's zoned for. Everybody's property in this parish is zoned one way. We can't be giving special things to special people just because they're going to make a big profit. That's not a reason to rezone property. You rezone property because there is a particular reason, not because it's going to make you more money. And therefore, I am going to stand with Mr. Todd Lambert, and I too will deny this. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes, I represent that area out in Dalrymple. I grew up there. Played football in the Catholic churchyard with the Smileys. We all had good relationships. Dalrymple has a problem where they don't have enough water pressure. This developer is bringing a 12-inch water line from the railroad track from the railroad track to Dalrymple that every citizen has the opportunity to tie in. They are putting fire hydrant. We need fire protection in Dalrymple. Ms. Fontenot fought for fire protection in her district. That's why we passed a franchise agreement with Ascension Water. Now, Ascension Water is operating a system in Dalrymple. In Dalrymple, we need good water in Dalrymple. Right now, we are drinking processed river water from St. James. That if St. James have a problem, we get cut off first. We get cut off first. And I have a project. I'm pushing getting the wastewater out of the ditches in Dalrymple. I'm pushing drinking water. And I went to some developers and asked them to come to Dalrymple where we could change Dalrymple. And with saying that, I offer a motion to deny planning and zoning recommendation because it's a good project. It brings good water. It brings fire protection to the Dalrymple area.
Got a motion on the table.
A second.
Second by Mr. Oliver Joseph.
Approve with modifications, Councilman Salvon.
What modifications, Mr. Thompson?
Reducing it to 403 lots. If we don't have to go back to planning and zoning.
All right. Moving it to 403 lots. Mr. Shakespeare.
35-foot buffer around the perimeter also.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was hoping that the developers would get an opportunity to show the maps and pictures and everything so that everybody in this room knows exactly what we're dealing with. I think that's very important. I've listened to people on both sides, and on both sides there are some things that are not actually at this point the intentions of the developers and the intentions of us to vote on. And so I thought it was important. And if you could, would you put the map up of the location? We've talked about some things. I just would like people to be able to see, let the audience see, and yes. And then the council can see also. When I met a couple of weeks ago also with residences in the area, some concerned citizens. They voiced their concerns, and we sat down and listened. At that point, looking at what was presented to planning and zoning, I too would not have voted for this development. At that point, we were having workshop meetings to discuss with the developer what they were planning to do. And I told them at that point that as presented, I could not support it, that I thought we should do better than that in Ascension Parish, and that we can get better than that in Ascension Parish. And so they talked about the concerns of everyone else, and I gave them my concerns, were a number of them. I felt that with the land bordering on the pastures, that there should be some type of buffer or something, that some transition goes from one to the other so that people can have their cattle and people can have their backyard. I felt that there were some serious concerns of the water situation. As you can see, it's been addressed by a 12-inch line running 2 miles, of which they're going to pick up fire protection and good water for all of the people from the railroad all the way through to Dara, and they do plan on attaching it to the Dara system. I was very concerned about the school site, and they did approach the school board and got a letter of assurances saying that they were, I talked with Mr. Ellisor, who's a facility planner, and they are looking at down the line as their master plan putting a school in the area. I want to remind you that we have to look forward. Constantly, what we hear at these meetings, when we talk about things developing in Dutchtown and Prairieville and Galvez, why didn't we put the infrastructure in before the people came? Well, these people are putting the infrastructure in. And in my opinion now, they've changed. They've dropped their density from 455 homes to 403. They're putting a good school site for this parish. In Dutchtown, there's 3 schools within a quarter of a mile, and they need more. And 15 years ago, who would have thought that they would have needed all of that? And we need to look 10 to 15 years down the line. And those are the type of things. I heard remarks about we need to plan things. We need to prepare for things. This is a planned development. It takes into account the future water growth. It takes into account the future land growth of the area. In the future, 10 years from now, if there's any development adjacent to it, they have stub outs that they can do that keeps the major traffic within the community and does not put them on the major roads any more than possible. If you look on that map, they have a commercial right inside the center part of the area, not far from 22, but when you come off of it, you can go into the little circle and go to your little commercial areas and go back home. Everybody in this development can walk to the small commercial areas that they have for their needed things. They have a daycare center in there. All of these things that they projected in there are done by ordinance of this parish, which means it's law. They have to do what they say. They cannot change from what is passed or not passed. So that is very important. I take this very, very seriously. I think that with the parish coming out now, and you see the school board struggling, and they look, what is the parish council going to do to assist our residences in getting proper schools, which is why most of the people are coming here. This is this is some of the things that the parish council can do to set things up so that the school board can come in and do a better job in the future with their infrastructure, which is schools. And so we've looked at what failed in the northern part of the parish. And I feel like that we're doing a better job of having people moving in to the southern part of the parish where we don't have the drainage problems, but we do have other problems, and we're trying to address them ahead of time. And so for those reasons, that I think it was important that that we have this type of thing, this type of development. And not just haphazard development where people come in and settle in. We have a situation where we talked tonight about the comprehensive wastewater plant, which is going to be a couple of miles away. This will be the first area in the parish, as it continues, that we will have comprehensive wastewater. So as we run our tail lines to BASF, the sewage will be out of the ditches there. And these packing plants, some individualized packing plants, can hook onto it, and we can treat our wastewater as a parish. And the rest of the parish residences do not have to foot the bill for this on this area. They just need to hook into it. So I think it's important. This is a hard decision. Not everybody's going to agree with it because you have pros and cons on everything. But in the long run, I think it's the right thing to do for the parish to have a developer give to the parish residences without an increase in taxes the infrastructure that's necessary for development. And I think they've provided this. They've increased the lot size on the River Road tremendously, and they've added a buffer around the outside. My support of it is going to be contingent upon the changes that are presented in this preface that they have given us that is put in there by law. And I want to make sure that if Councilman Thompson's motion is not include that I would offer the motion that if it's included, that the information on this preface page, which requires them to do all of this, is done.
Ms. Suzanne, do you have a copy of that preference for the record? Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I'm not quite finished. I have one more thing to say. We've just approved off of Highway 73 not too long ago. We're approving mixed use areas off of 73, and if you drive along 73, which is very congested and in need of schools and everything, they're putting condominiums up right now, and it's 8 houses per acre right there. And so we're trying to do things where we're going to provide the infrastructure where we can do things in this area where we can protect the citizens, that they can have adequate facilities.
Anyone else? Mr. Todd Lambert.
Yeah, Mr. Shakespeare, I believe that is zone commercial is why they're able to put them condos there also. So we're not looking at an area that's zone conservationist. And we still have to, this is a great development, but we still have to respect the people, and they want their rural character. That's why we put zoning in place. We need it there. They want it. It's their right to have it there. I talked to the fire departments, too, some of the districts, and you got 50-foot lots. You put 50-foot homes, they're going to be almost touching each other. One catches a fire, you're liable to catch 3 of fire. And what you going to do in that case? You have y'all look, but on 50 foot, you can't put much of a home. So, that's something to look at that the fire departments are concerned about big time, is the 50-foot lots. And there's 130 of them in this project. That brings the density up to 4.6 in this area. So, again, it's a great project. We've got land that's conservationist. What the people want it, let's keep it there. Thank you.
Anyone else has anything to say? Mr. Oliver Joe.
Yes, I just want to state, I understand the concerns of the people in that area. But you know what? I live in an area that my area going to be extinct in about, I would say, in the next 2 weeks if they approve the airport. I won't have an opportunity to live by the airport. They're going to tell me to move, and I have to go somewhere to live. And you cannot stop progress. I'm sorry. Economic progress. And I mean, this is a great opportunity for this side of the river. We always hollering about infrastructure. I'm going to have to go with that. My campaign was on infrastructure. They are putting in the infrastructure. And I believe that if you start with projects like this here, and they donate those infrastructure to the government, which they are doing, this is the beginning where we want to be at. Because 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when we approve, if we approve that master plan on sewage, this only going to save us tax dollars money. We're talking about $40 fees on sewage. That won't happen if we do not work with the developers and get these kind of projects donated. It will never happen. We'll be looking at a $80 fee. So that's why I support this program. Developers that's going to support and donate those type of infrastructure, that's the reason why I'm approved for this development in the parish.
Mr. Thompson.
We got water problems on that end of the parish, serious water problems. The developer's going to bring that 12-inch water line that's going to help everybody. They're even looking at an elevated storage tank in the area. We're bringing fire protection. I need that for the whole Darrow, not just part of Darrow. This is a project that's needed in the Darrow area. It changes everything. And I appreciate y'all's support on it.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Can we pull the signs down? I mean, I think everybody's looked at everything. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I discuss this, I apologize to my colleague Dempsey Lambert. When we discussed that park earlier on Parker Road, Parkside, Dempsey, I appreciate all of your hard work. Councilman Dempsey Lambert has been with me there every step of the way. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I probably voted as a councilman 99% of the time with agreement of what planning and zoning has recommended. If you go back and check the record, I invite anyone to go and check the record. However, tonight this is a situation where I disagree based on the statements of Councilman Oliver Joseph, Councilman Scheck Snyder, Councilman Thompson. I'm going to respect the wishes of those councilmen in that area that are more familiar with that area than certainly I am. I represent Prairieville, District 7, northern end of the parish, along with Councilwoman Fontenot. Cheryl, you'll have to state your district number. Is it 4? I apologize. Councilman Lambert, I believe that's District 5. Councilman George Valentine. George is not here tonight. I apologize. I'm not sure what it is. But we are catching the brunt of all of this growth. We were the first to receive it. And I'm happy to see some opportunity for growth in other areas of the parish that will help us maybe in the northern end of the parish, that will offer more choices for our people both within the parish, our residents within the parish, and also people outside of the parish that wish to locate to Ascension Parish. So for those reasons, I certainly understand the concerns of the people of the area. However, this is one of those times when I'm going to vote against the planning and zoning recommendation, and I'm going to go with the people who want to sell their property. And I think it's a good development. I appreciate the changes that you've made. I appreciate what you're giving up and what you're contributing to help that area with water, with sewer, with middle school site. I'm a pro-education person. I think that will make an excellent middle school site in that particular area. So for those reasons, I plan to support this development. Thank you.
Ms. Fontenot?
Well, I just wanted to say Highway 42 is in a disastrous place, that if you haven't driven down Highway 22 lately toward Darrow, it's deplorable. We can't afford to put any houses on that road right now. Look how many years it is taking us just to get 44 overlaid. That doesn't dress the shoulders. I drive 44 2 or 3 times a week, and it's a nightmare. Overlaying, it's going to make it a little smoother ride, but it won't stop the issues and the emergencies and the deaths. I lost several of close friends in automobile accidents right there around the cabin just in the past couple of years. And you're going to ask for more people to go there. There's still other areas that are not developed there. The road condition is at an F. It cannot handle anymore. If you guys don't see that and you don't rule for the people, it's a sad day in America when the citizens of our country do not matter anymore to the elected officials. Thank you.
Chairman. Further discussion. Mr. Todd Lambert.
Yeah, y'all experiencing what's taking place in the northern part of the parish, and all y'all wanting to do with this project is bring it to the south. Basically, is what you're going to do. And we already have the infrastructure problems now, and we don't have the people there yet. So it's just not, and to me, it's not a good site to put this type of development.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Hillenbeck.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to respond. As it was explained to me by legal counsel, and he's not here tonight, but planning and zoning is an autonomous body, and we're not supposed to try to influence those members in their decision-making process. However, we can either disagree or agree. I've never contested the decisions of planning and zoning that approve those developments in the northern end of the parish. I've respected what I was advised by legal counsel, Ricky Babin, when I first got elected, not go down to those meetings and browbeat the planning and zoning commissioners because they have a job to do. However, as an elected official, I have a choice. I can either agree or disagree. And I choose to disagree. And by the way, I see that there are a couple of members of the Planning and Zoning Commission. One of them in particular lives in very close proximity, Mr. Julio Dumas, that did vote to approve this project. And I'm glad to see the opportunity for growth in other areas of the parish and help our residents in the north. Thank you.
Any further discussion? There's a motion to deny the Planning Commission's recommendation of denial plus the prefix that was submitted to us tonight. Is there any opposition to the motion?
Object.
We've got two objections, Ms. Fontenot and Mr. Todd Lambert, and the chairman will object. Motion passes. Number 23, introduction of an ordinance to amend section 22 to 30 of the Ascension Parish Code of Ordinance to add as an additional no-wake zone in a portion of Black Bayou, Bayou Francois, and Severio Canal.
Is that 22, Chair?
22.
Yeah.
Motion to introduce the ordinance, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Byringer, second by Mr. Hillenbeck. Is there any discussion? Any opposition? Having none, motion passes. We're going to pass on number 23. Number 24, introduction of an ordinance to amend the flood damage prevention ordinance adopted by the Ascension Parish Police Bureau on November 19, 1992. Motion by Mr. Dempsey Lambert, second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Number 25, public hearing to amend the 2007 budget. Number 1, legal counsel.
Members of the council, I'll remind you that our charter calls for the enactment of an ordinance. It says it shall be read in full, so don't blame me for this. I'm going to have to read the ordinance amending the year 2007 budget number 1. Be it ordained by the Ascension Parish Council of the State of Louisiana that the following amendments to the 2007 budget is hereby approved and appropriated. General fund, revenues and transfers in, ad valorem taxes, reduce ad valorem taxes by $68,600 to $1,643,400. Intergovernment grants revenue to increase by $50,000 for state appropriation received to purchase generators for fire districts. Transfer in by $209,000 to $5,159,000 from sales and use tax District 1 to provide for the general funds transfer out to maintenance. To transfer in from East Ascension Drainage by $20,000 to $477,000 per motion of the East Ascension Drainage Board on 3/12/07. Expenditures and transfers out, economic development, to increase the annual appropriation by $39,000 to $384,000 for food incubator as per the council motion on 4/19/07. General administration, OEP, to reduce major repairs by $20,000 in general administration to $305,000 and to increase travel in OEP by $20,000 to $27,000 for necessary training. Intergovernmental grant, to increase by $50,000 for expenditure of state appropriation received to purchase generators for fire districts. Transfers out, to to transfer out by $209,000 to $695,000 to the maintenance fund to amend salaries and benefits. Sales and Use District Number 1 Fund transfers out. To increase transfer out by $209,000 to $5,159,000 to the general fund to provide for the general fund's transfers out of the maintenance fund. To increase transfer out by $1,528,100 to $4,811,100 to road and bridge fund to provide for additional personnel and equipment. To transfer out $300,000 to LCDBG Project Number 1, Hillaryville Sewer, to provide for the Hillaryville Sewer Project as per the council motion on 12/21/06. To transfer out $90,000 to LCDBG Project 1, Hillaryville Sewer, to provide for the URS contract supplement for Hillaryville Sewer as per the council motion on 3/1/07. Thank you. East Ascension Drainage, combining funds 4 and 5. To combine the revenues and expenditures in funds 4 and 5 into one fund, East Ascension Drainage Fund, as per the East Ascension Drainage Board motion on 4/9/07. Revenues and transfers in ad valorem taxes to reduce ad valorem taxes by $103,400 to $2,803,600. Transfers in to transfer in $94,400 from the office building construction fund to provide for residual balance upon completion of project. Expenditures and transfers out, salaries and benefits, to increase salaries and benefits by $791,911 per the motion of the East Ascension Drainage Board on 3/12/07. Contract labor, to increase contract labor by $411,000 to $778,000 per the motion of the East Ascension Drainage Board on 3/12/07 and 5/7/07. Maintenance and supplies, to increase maintenance and supplies, vehicle and equipment by $5,000 to $510,000 per the motion of the East Ascension Drainage Board on 5/7/07. Professional services, to increase professional services by $100,000 to $311,000 per the motion of the East Ascension Drainage Board motion on 3/12/07. Bridge material, to increase bridge material by $70,000 to $190,000 per the motion of the East Ascension Drainage Board on 5/7/07. Concrete, metal, and pipes, to increase concrete, metal, and pipes by $205,000 to $350,000 per the motion of the East Ascension Drainage Board on 5/7/07. Fuel, to increase fuel by $20,500 to $208,500 per the motion of the East Ascension Drainage Board on 5/7/07. Acquisitions, vehicle and equipment, to increase acquisitions, vehicle and equipment by $1,095,817 to $1,720,817 per the motion of the East Ascension Drainage Board on 3/12/07 and 5/7/07. Acquisition right-of-way, to provide $250,000 for acquisition right-of-way per the motion of the East Ascension Drainage Board on 3/12/07. Major repairs building, to increase major repairs building by $2,000 to $14,000 per the motion of the East Ascension Drainage Board on 3/12/07. Major repairs flood control, to increase major repairs flood control by $98,000 to $150,000 per the motion of the East Ascension Drainage Board on 3/12/07. Transfers out, to reduce the transfer out to maintenance by $140,000 to $20,000 per the East Ascension Drainage Board motion on 3/12/07. To increase the transfer out to general fund by $20,000 to $477,000 per the East Ascension Drainage Board motion on 3/12/07. West Ascension Drainage, ad valorem taxes, to reduce ad valorem taxes by $228,200 to $441,800. Road and Bridge, transfer in $16,600 from the Office Construction Fund to provide for residual balance upon completion of project. To increase transfer in from sales tax number 1 by $1,528,100 to $4,811,100 to provide for additional personnel and equipment. Expenditures, acquisitions, vehicle and equipment, to increase acquisitions, vehicle and equipment by $201,500 to $943,500 for additional costs. Salaries and benefits, to increase salaries and benefits by $1,326,600 to fund additional personnel and benefits. Criminal Court Fund, acquisitions, vehicle and equipment, to increase by $50,000 to $85,000 for digital recording equipment for courtrooms in Gonzales and projection or television systems for the courtrooms. Major repairs, to provide $27,000 for panic buttons installed in each courtroom judge's office, an electronic lock system for entrance in judges' chambers from outside to provide more security for the courthouse in Gonzales. Note, these increases are to be funded from the surplus of funds remaining from the 2006 fiscal year. Fire District Number 2, revenues, miscellaneous revenue, to increase miscellaneous revenue by $10,200 for money received through the insurance claims on damaged fire trucks as per the motion of the board on 4/19/07. Expenditures, maintenance and supplies, vehicle and equipment to increase maintenance supplies, vehicle and equipment by $10,200 to $30,200 to repair damaged fire trucks with money received through insurance claims as per the motion of the board on 4/19/07. Fire rebate expenditures to create cost account 4097, fire rebate expenditures, and provide $12,000 to track the expenditures associated with the revenue received from the fire rebate. Health unit, ad valorem taxes to reduce ad valorem taxes by $53,000 to $1,224,000. Mental health, ad valorem taxes to reduce ad valorem taxes by $53,000 to $1,224,000. Professional services to increase professional services in mental health department 75 by $12,000 to $127,000, and substance abuse department 77 by $12,000 to $123,000 each for a needs assessment that would be performed by a contractor. Lighting district number 1, ad valorem taxes to reduce ad valorem taxes by $106,500 to $31,500. Lighting district number 2, to reduce ad valorem taxes by $21,000 to $22,000. Lighting district number 3, to reduce ad valorem taxes by $4,400 to $26,600. Lighting district number 4, to reduce ad valorem taxes by $300 to $10,700. Lighting district number 5, to reduce ad valorem taxes by $102,400 to $27,600. Lighting district number 6, to reduce ad valorem taxes by $107,100 to $321,900. Lighting district number 7, to increase ad valorem taxes by $400 to $9,400. East Ascension major construction, mitigation land purchase, to increase mitigation land purchase by $428,500 to $778,500 per the East Ascension Drainage Board motion on 5707. Office building construction, transfer out $16,600 to the Road and Bridge Fund to provide for residual balance upon completion of project. To transfer out $94,400 to the East Ascension Drainage Fund to provide for residual balance upon completion of project. LCDBG project number 1, Hillaryville Sewer, transfers in to provide for a transfer in of $300,000 from the sales tax number 1 to fund the Hillaryville Sewer project as per council motion on 12/21/06, to provide for a transfer of the $90,000 from the sales tax number 1 fund URS contract supplement for Hillaryville Sewer as per council motion on 3/1/07. Expenditures to increase contract payments by $300,000 to $1,750,000 to provide for the Hillaryville Sewer project. Engineering fees to increase engineering fees by $90,000 to $142,000 to provide for the URS contract supplement for Hillaryville Sewer. Council on Aging to reduce ad valorem taxes by $40,000 to $918,000. Maintenance to increase transfer in from general fund by $209,000 to $695,000, to reduce the transfer in by $140,000 to $20,000 from East Ascension Drainage. Expenditures to increase salary and benefits by $69,000 to fund additional personnel and benefits. Homeland Security intergovernment grants to increase intergovernment grant revenue by $311,000 to $414,000 for the 206 UASI grant that was awarded in February 2007. Acquisitions to increase acquisitions for vehicle and equipment by $311,000 for the purchase of radio equipment with the 2006 UASI grant. Fire District number 3 dedicated revenues to increase ad valorem taxes by $33,500 to $1,006,500 per the motion of the board on 5/8/07. Expenditures and transfers out to increase salaries and benefits by $152,000 per the motion of the board on 5/8/07. To increase miscellaneous expense by $2,000 to $4,000 per motion of the board on 5/8/07. To transfer out $100,000 to Fire District 3 Construction Fund. Fire District number 3 expenditures to increase contract labor by $60,000 to $360,000 per motion of the board on 5/8/07. Utilities to increase utilities expense by $5,000 to $17,000 per motion of the board on 5/8/07. Telephone to increase telephone expense by $2,000 to $8,000 per motion of the board on 5/8/07. Excuse me. Professional services to increase professional services by $2,000 to $4,000 per the motion of the board on 5/8/07. Workman's compensation insurance to increase workman's compensation insurance by $12,500 to $37,500 per motion of the board on 5/8/07. To increase operating supplies by $20,000 to $48,000 per motion of the board on 5/8/07. Small tools and equipment to increase small tools and equipment by $9,000 to $10,000 per motion of the board on 5/8/07. to increase acquisitions, vehicle and equipment by $187,500 to $1,387,500 per motion of the board on 5807. Fire District Number 3, Construction Fund, transfers in $100,000 from Fire District Number 3, dedicated fund per motion of the board on 5807. Expenditures, architect and landscape services increased by $60,000 to $120,000 per motion of the board on 5807. Professional service to increase by $10,000 to $15,000 per motion of the board on 5807. Increased contract payments by $200,000 to $1,200,000 per motion of the board on 5807. Increased acquisitions, building and land by $100,000 to $172,000 per motion of the board on 5807.
Motion open public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Byringer, open public hearing, second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on this public hearing?
Motion to close, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Motion to close public hearing by Mr. Byringer, second by Mr. Oliver Joseph. Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Number 26,
Move
the
to order,
ordinance.
Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hillensbeck, second by Mr. Thompson. Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Number 27, executive session.
Motion to go into executive session, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Byringer, second by Mr. Dempsey Lambert, to go into executive session. Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. We'll convene in executive session.
Yes, I appreciate that. At least my constituents get some good water and fire.
Motion to reconvene, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. Byringer to reconvene. Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes.
It's my mail or your mail? That's yours. No, this is for Cheryl.
Executive session, no discussion on the Parish vehicle damage settlement proposal. It was, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the settlement of $10,000.
Second. Motion by Mr. Todd Lambert, second by Mr. McConnell. Is there any discussion? Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. B, Renee Poirier versus Ronald Stevenson.
I move to authorize our legal counsel to enter into negotiations
Second.
as necessary with the plaintiff.
Motion by Mr. McConnell, second by Mr. Byringer. Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. And C, Teresa Young versus Benny Bourgeois.
No action, Mr. Chairman.
That was just an update.
Motion adjourned, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Byringer to adjourn, second by Mr. Todd Lambert. Is there any opposition? Having none, motion passes. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Did you want to keep this stuff from